Hello students, let's begin with our chapter of history, that is chapter number 11, buildings, paintings and books. In my introductory video, I had informed you about the use of irons during the Iron Age, and that is what we still continue with. So let us understand how we have still continued with the iron. As you can see, the beautiful monuments all around the world, correct? These are the beautiful monuments, but our India is also present in it. So this beautiful Taj Mahal was been built during Shah Jahan's era. But even for building this, we had used iron as well. It was not only the stone which was being used to build this, even the iron was being used. So the Iron Age has helped us till now to build beautiful monuments as we can stand in our houses due to the support of iron. Now, as you can see, this pillar, the whole pillar is only made up of iron. No rocks has been added to this, only iron pillar it is. The iron pillar at Mahabalipuram, that is in Delhi, is a remarkable example of the skill of Indian craftsperson. It is made up of iron that is 7.2 meter high and weighs around 3 tons. It was made about 1500 years ago. So this pillar is still found in Delhi and it has been 1500 years old. Now let us understand this all the monuments, and now as well we are using irons to build our monuments and many more things. So we use bricks. After the use of iron, the next step is using the bricks. The skill of a craftsperson are also apparent in the buildings that have survived, such as stupas. So let us understand about all that. Before understanding about stupas, let us understand how the temples and they were being used and what was it been called. The other buildings were hollowed out of the rock to make artificial caves. Some of these were very elaborately decorated with sculptures and painted walls. So the sculpture you can see about painted walls, I'll show you later on, but now see about this, the sculpture, how beautifully this has been carved out, right? The most important part of the temple was the room known as the Garbhagriha. So it means that where the image of the chief deity was placed. It was here that the priests performed rituals and devotees offered worship to their deities. Mahabalipuram, the place of stone temples. You can see in the picture that all the temples are being made up of stone, right? Building shikharas required carefully planning. Most temples also had a space known as the mandapa. So that was a very common place where the people used to sit and the rituals were being performed and they used to be able to be seen. Mahabalipuram, as I told you before about the stone temples found there, has the most of the temples found over Mahabalipuram. Now coming back to the word stupa, as I told you before about stupa, right? So the word stupa means a mound. While there are several kinds of stupas, round and tall, big and small, these have a certain common features in them. There is a small box placed at the center or heart of the stupa. This may contain bodily remains such as teeth, bone or ashes of the Buddha or his followers, or things they used, as well as precious stones and coins. So, the center part of it mostly contains all these things. Also, the stupas, how they were being built and how they were being used. There were several stages in buildings or stupas or a temple. Kings or queens decided to build this as it was an expensive affair. First, good quality stone had to be found, cut, and transported to the place that was often carefully chosen for the new building. Means first a place was being chosen, then the stones to build the stupas as well. The stones were being carefully seen and chosen, and then it was being sent to a particular place where the stupa was being supposed to be built. Rough blocks of stones had to be shaped and carved into pillars and panels for walls, floors and ceilings, and then this had to be placed in precisely the right position. It means if suppose you can see over here the design over here, if the rocks and stones are not being placed in a proper position, will it look good or will it be stable? No. That is why all this thing has to be well planned, and then only it has to be executed. Paintings. The others who paid for decoration were merchants, farmers, garland makers, perfumers, smiths, and hundreds of men and women who are known only by their names, which were inscribed on pillars, railings, and walls. So, that was been done. But what about the paintings? Many of them, their names have been inscribed on the pillars, the stones, but we also have found about the paintings. The places where several caves are hollowed out of the hills over centuries. Most of these were monasteries for Buddhist monks, and some of them were decorated with paintings. As the caves are dark inside, most of these paintings were done in the light of torches. The colors, which are vivid even after 15 years, means as you can see the picture over here, the painting of Ajanta Ellora caves. These paintings are 1500 years old, but still when you see them, they have that gleam of spark which help us to understand about our history, what the people life was. Talking about the books, the world of books, the Silapaka Dikaram was composed by poet named Ilong around 1800 years ago. It is the story of merchant named Kolwin who lived in Puhar and fell in love with the courtesan named Madhvi. So their love story became that famous, and there was a book written on it. Along with it, there was another Tamil epic that is called as Manimekalai, was composed by Satanar around 1400 years ago. This describes the story of daughter of Kolwan and Madhvi. This beautiful composition were lost to the scholars for many centuries till their manuscripts were rediscovered about around 100 years ago. There were other such writers such as Kalidas that I had already talked to you about it in the earlier chapter. Now we will talk about the books which help us to find about our preserving the old stories, the recordings of gods and how we worship them. The Puran contains stories about God and goddesses such as Vishnu, Shiva, Durga or Parvati. They also contain details on how they were to be worshipped. Besides, there are accounts about the creation of the world and about kings. Two Sanskrit epics, that is the Mahabharata and Ramayana, had been popular for a very long time. And how can you forget about the Mahabharata and Ramayana, especially for 2020, as most of us has watched Mahabharata and Ramayana very carefully during lockdown period, and that was a wonderful experience who had earlier been seen, and those who have seen now, they have already got a good knowledge about our epic books. We also come to know about the stories of earlier people from the Jataka tales and the Panchratna, which were written down around this time. Stories from Jatakas were often shown on the railings of stupas and in the paintings in the places such as Ajanta. So students, our Iron Age has helped us with the beautiful monuments. Along with monuments, our preservings as well as the life of the people. Thank you.